At a crossroads of volcanic activity, atmospheric jet streams, ocean currents, and animal migration routes, lies Indonesia, a land of extremes. It's one of the most biologically diverse regions on Earth, and home to some of the weirdest life forms ever known. Isolated from their ancient ancestors and neighboring islands, animals and plants have evolved with spectacular results. While the region's iconic creatures live in plain sight, these incredibly bizarre animals and their hidden habitats make up Indonesia's secret worlds. The Indonesian archipelago lies in Southeast Asia, in one of the most geologically volatile regions of the world. These islands are scattered across the southwestern edge of the Pacific Ring of Fire, a band of volcanoes and geological fault lines. These lands are the product of unstoppable forces, thousands of meters below the surface of these tranquil seas. 4 different tectonic plates have been crashing and grinding together for millions of years, pushing up the Earth to create over 17,000 wild and diverse islands. Volcanic eruptions and earthquakes are a constant reminder of Indonesia's fiery foundations. Over time, these islands have become overrun with an unusual cast of characters, unseen anywhere else. Despite occupying only 1% of the Earth's landmass, Indonesia is one of the most biodiverse countries on the planet. Home to 1/8 of all mammals and plants found on Earth, and almost 1/5 of all bird species. Perhaps even more remarkable is that the bizarre inhabitants of these islands have evolved beyond recognition. Just how they've defied so many rules of nature is one of Indonesia's greatest mysteries. At nearly 800,000 square kilometers, Borneo is Indonesia's biggest island and is covered by one of the country's largest rainforests. Beneath these great canopies, the steamy jungle houses hidden dangers. These delicate white furls mask deadly intentions. Shaking gently, this creature resembles a plant swaying in the wind. But make no mistake, this is a carnivorous killer. For an insect, orchids are a highly prized treasure trove of sweet nectar. And the orchid mantis has evolved to exploit this temptation. It has deception down to a fine art. The perfect camouflage in movement and enticing colors. A fly has no hope. These gruesome killers often dine on the juicy head of their victims first, and will prey on any flower forager that strays too close. Indonesia's eastern edge is the country's final frontier. New Guinea is the world's second largest island. An unusual link to another continent is apparent in the forest's wildlife. Tree kangaroos are members of the marsupial family, descendants from mainland Australia. They're just one of several links to the neighboring island. They've been marooned here for thousands of years. New Guinea and Australia were connected as little as 8,000 years ago. At the end of the last ice age, rising sea levels began flooding the low-lying land and formed the Torres Strait, cutting off New Guinea and Australia as two great landmasses and dividing the animals that lived there. Some only emerge under the cover of night. Sugar gliders get their name from their love of sweet nectarine fruits and tree sap. Just 14 centimeters long, these little marsupials live in family groups of up to 7. And though they might seem cute, they will violently defend their territory when an intruder is detected. They're also good hunters, with a particular taste for crickets. These insects are packed full of protein, and gram for gram, contain more iron than beef. A worthy prize if they can catch one. They wait until the cricket comes close before they pounce. But they're not the only hunters in these trees. Green tree pythons are also native to New Guinea and Australia, separated by 150 kilometers of sea. And this individual has spotted another marooned resident. Like many snakes, green tree pythons can go months without food. But this opportunity is too good to miss. Growing up to 2 meters long, these snakes can move easily among the canopy. A prehensile tail makes holding onto branches an easy task. Being venomless, these snakes rely on catching and constricting their prey before eating it whole. So she'll have to use supreme stealth to make her kill. Sugar gliders are always on the lookout for danger. The green tree python's camouflage is impeccable. However, sugar gliders have an acute sense of smell and can identify any stranger by their scent. The python closes in and prepares to strike. But the sugar glider has an escape strategy. They have evolved to be able to glide up to 50 meters, the width of a football field. This sugar glider has made it to safety. For the python, it may be an even longer wait until the next meal. Across Indonesia, isolation has led to an explosion of diversity among the forest's creatures. On Borneo, one reclusive island resident has found that size isn't everything. From deep within the jungle, a mini giant emerges. These are pygmy elephants. Found only on Borneo, they're plumper and shorter than their Asian cousins, standing just 2.5 meters tall. They're the smallest elephants in the world, an adaptation to island life. With fewer resources and less territory, pygmy elephants have grown smaller over thousands of generations. However, they're still Borneo's biggest mammals. This riverside gathering is a reunion. Relatives and friends come together to feast on the lush grass. Elephants are well known for their close family ties, and their social bonds are as complex as our own. They have individual personalities, and naturally, clashes can happen. They've even been known to hold a grudge. But it isn't long before everyone gets stuck into a favorite pastime: rolling around in mud. Mud is an important mineral source, supplementing a nutrient-poor diet. Also acting as a sunscreen and insect repellent. A mud bath followed by a cooling swim in the river is the perfect antidote to the tropical heat. Temperatures here can reach 35 degrees Celsius. So, taking 2 tons of weight off provides welcome relief. Pygmy elephants are excellent swimmers. However, getting out of the river proves a little harder than getting in. For some of the younger members, climbing the riverbank is an almost impossible task. But a helpful nudge at the right moment is all that's needed. Borneo's rivers crisscross the island for thousands of kilometers in a web of waterways. They're a lifeline for millions of jungle animals, providing food, shelter, and even a highway. For some, they also offer crucial concealment. This river hides a monster. The Cantor's soft-shell turtle is unlike other turtles. Its shell is actually made up of ribs, which are fused together under a rubbery shield of skin. This turtle can grow up to 2 meters in length and weigh almost as much as a human. It eats fish and is an expert in ambush. But for this, the Cantor's soft-shell turtle must bide its time. The hunter spends 95% of his time buried in the sand and mud, only surfacing to breathe twice a day. With eyes and nostrils which mimic grains of sand, he all but disappears. Staying still, he waits for the perfect moment to strike. He can strike faster than a cobra. His bite is so strong, it can crush bone. These murky waters have allowed the Cantor's soft-shelled turtle to remain unchanged for millions of years. Here in Borneo, seclusion doesn't always mean the depths of a riverbed. Secret worlds also play out at great heights. Dominating the landscape is the jungle canopy. Trees here can reach over 80 meters. These lofty heights are the perfect playing ground for the rainforest's greatest acrobats. Bornean gibbons. These primates live in complex family groups, led by a monogamous adult pair. Gibbons are among the most faithful primates in the animal kingdom. They spend most of their day foraging for fruit in the forest canopy, and have evolved remarkable skills for retrieving food from even the most hard-to-reach places. Bornean gibbons move through the jungle at speeds of up to 50 kilometers an hour. Specially adapted shoulder joints allow a greater reach as they swing from branch to branch. And their strong hook-shaped hands help them grasp. Long, powerful legs propel them from branches. They've been known to jump over gaps wider than 10 meters. Rarely setting foot on the forest floor, they are true jungle gymnasts. On New Guinea's western edge, steep valleys lie coated in thick forest. Undisturbed for thousands of years, these are some of the most untouched rainforests in the world. This lost world, birds have been left to evolve extravagant features and feathers. None more so than Indonesia's most flamboyant residents, the birds of paradise. This group of 39 different species are defined by their outlandish looks, an eclectic mix of fantastic colors, feathers, and bizarre behaviors. With no tree-hogging primates on the island, birds here have had exclusive access to the forest's canopy. Over the years, it's become their stage. The iridescent chest of a male magnificent riflebird is the only indication of something unusual about this otherwise ordinary songbird. But the presence of a female stirs him into action. And he shows off one of the most bizarre and extravagant mating rituals on Earth. This choreography has been thousands of years in the making, passed down through the generations. And he's been rehearsing with other males since he was a juvenile. Even his perch has been specifically chosen for the best light. His performance is calculated and exact. And it seems to be working. The female's appearance is much less impressive. She mirrors his posture before he can complete the final part of the routine. Despite his best efforts, it's still not up to scratch. For the female, this riflebird is not magnificent enough. Some dancers will never win over the ladies. With very few predators on the island, the only driving force in the evolution of the species has been entirely down to what pleases a female audience. He'll keep on practicing in the hope that eventually he'll find a mate. It isn't just Indonesia's lands that play host to such a strange selection of animals and plants. The country is also home to 18% of the world's coral reefs. Over 51,000 square kilometers fringe and connect Indonesia's islands. Ecologically, these are the richest in the world. The reefs on the western tip of Papua are at the epicenter of the Coral Triangle, an area with the highest coral diversity on the planet. Here, over 600 different types of coral flourish, 76% of the world's total. Although they may look like underwater plants, the vast mounds are actually made up of tiny soft-bodied animals called coral polyps. Over 2,000 species of coral fish call these waters home, more than anywhere else on Earth. Their world is a submerged secret. And they have helped shape this tropical paradise. These iconic white sandy beaches have humble origins. Parrotfish are indiscriminate feeders. They bite off rock and hard coral with sharp beak-like teeth in their quest for algae. Once digested, it emerges as a fine sediment, better known as sand. Each fish can pass up to 90 kilograms per year. On the border of the reef, sand flats stretch into the deep. Even here, it can be hard to tell creature from coral. Swaying in the current, it would be easy to mistake these as blades of seagrass. But get too close, and they all but disappear. Garden eels. Growing almost half a meter long, they make their home in narrow burrows, which they rarely leave. Spending their time feeding on organic matter caught up in the strong current. These cautious critters keep most of their body buried underground at all times, and are able to hide in a split second if they feel threatened. In these shallow waters, another reclusive herbivore is searching for food. Dugongs are a bizarre sight in Indonesia's waters, and the pages of maritime history mistake these for mysterious mermaid sightings. Up close, the truth is slightly less elegant. Beneath the muscular upper lip, they have a small set of concealed tusks inherited from ancient ancestors. Their closest living relative is surprisingly found on land. The elephant. Dugongs can grow over 3 meters in length and weigh almost half a ton. This particular individual has a real appetite. Meadows of seagrass offer up a dugong delicacy. These animals spend up to 8 hours a day grazing, eating up to 50 kilos of seagrass. And like elephants, their daily harvesting helps cultivate more plant growth. As he uproots the vegetation, he disturbs the seabed which attracts small fish. They feed on the scraps the dugong leaves behind. But these aquatic mammals must take frequent breaks to breathe at the surface. Heavy bones allow dugongs to balance their weight in the water. Adjusting their oxygen intake allows them to rise and fall with ease, if not grace. Even when sleeping, this male must drowsily return to the surface to breathe. He also needs to keep a constant watch for danger. The bright coral gardens of Indonesia's oceans become less welcoming after dark. As the sun sets, the reef's grazers must find a hiding place. With darkness, even the reef itself turns carnivorous. And a feeding frenzy is about to begin. Tiny drifting creatures called zooplankton are sucked in and consumed by the coral itself. A parrotfish settles in for the night. But before it can sleep, there is a ritual to perform. The fish excretes mucus from glands near its gills, creating a cocoon. This will protect the parrotfish from parasites and is also thought to trap any telltale scent of its hiding place. Within an hour, his work is done. And it's just in time. White-tipped reef sharks are night hunters. And they are hungry. With snake-like bodies and a collapsible dorsal fin, they're perfectly equipped to squeeze through a labyrinth of tunnels. Scouring the reef, they follow scent trails to locate prey. When they've found a victim, they can be known to work together, trapping exits and shepherding stray fish to their deaths. But for these predators, there's more than one way to catch a fish. If a meal eludes them, they have another sense in reserve. Electroreceptors on their head can detect an animal's bioelectrical energy. Even the tiniest electrical signal, as small as the heartbeat of a frightened fish, will reveal a hiding place. The sharks pass. The parrotfish doesn't move a muscle. But against the super senses of these night stalkers, the parrotfish stood no chance. Indonesia's waters conceal many secrets. Predators have evolved to be successful hunters, and their prey has had to learn how to hide. On some of Indonesia's islands, all is not as it might first appear. The jungle is a hotbed of the weird and wonderful. In the sun-starved leaf litter of Borneo's forest floor, competition for resources is fierce. The pitcher plant has evolved to cope with nutrient-poor soils by extracting nourishment from other living creatures. Attracted by the scent of sweet nectar, it's not long before the pitcher claims its first victim. A moth struggles against the deadly pool of digestive enzymes that begin to dissolve its tissue. With waterlogged and sticky wings, it's unable to fly away. But even if the moth managed to crawl to the edge, it would then have to ascend the waxy walls of the pitcher plant's toxic reservoir and somehow get past the rim of inward curling spines. Escape is impossible. During its life, the pitcher plant will claim thousands of insects, amphibians, and even the occasional rat. It's a feat of lethal design. Of the 15,000 different plant species that grow here, over a third are found nowhere else on Earth. Amongst them lives an unlikely assassin. This leafy plant is a member of the dogbane family. It's highly toxic and can take down even the biggest animals if accidentally eaten. But it tastes so bitter that poisoning is unlikely. Despite the nasty aftertaste, there's one creature that seems determined not to be put off. The tree nymph caterpillar. 12 different species make up this group of resourceful and unusual insects. The caterpillar first cuts off the leaf's poisonous supply by severing the stem carrying toxins. The caterpillar isn't completely resistant to the poison, but has cleverly adopted the plant's self-defense mechanism. By consuming a non-lethal dose, it now carries the toxins which predators are keen to avoid. During its 2-week infancy, the caterpillar doubles in size. Then, preparations begin for one of nature's most miraculous transformations. It weaves a silk pad on a leaf and suspends itself using barbed hooks on its rear. Enzymes digest the caterpillar's tissue, effectively liquidizing its insides. The caterpillar slowly sheds its skin to reveal a golden chrysalis. Over time, the chrysalis hardens, forming a protective cocoon. After 2 weeks, the final stages of the transformation are complete. Slowly, the tree nymph butterfly emerges. It gently straightens its papery wings, drying them in the morning sun. Finally, it prepares to take its first flight. But for a delicate insect, life here can be precarious. Trouble lurks around every corner. Disaster strikes. The butterfly is ensnared in the web of an orb-weaving spider, and its captor is quick to pounce. Death seems imminent. But nothing is for sure in these forests. And for the orb weaver, something about the butterfly doesn't seem quite right. It recoils at the bitter scent emanating from the butterfly's flesh. In an amazing twist, the spider cuts its captive free. Remarkably, the tree nymph has retained the toxins it consumed as a caterpillar. The orb weaver goes hungry, while the unscathed tree nymph butterfly takes flight for the second time. This time without disaster. Isolated and hidden within a rich host of habitats, the animals and plants of this remarkable archipelago have evolved in unique ways. Indonesia's vibrant and diverse geography has given rise to creatures with bizarre behaviors, rarely seen by the outside world. On these islands, mystery and the unknown lies at every turn. From the hidden depths of the island's rivers and coasts, to the lofty heights of the concealed forest canopy. Life thrives in Indonesia's secret worlds.